Sturgeon climbed down as Scots prison service halts all movement of transgender prisoners. This is, wow, it's not been a good week for Sturgeon, and she has basically, after her sort of all trans women are women, now it's like, oh, not all trans women, the ones who've got willies and are rapists, maybe they're not women.
And face tattoos, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. So, and the thing is that this is all on in Scotland they put through their self-IDing laws, which then the UK government sort of cabooshed and said, oh, wait a minute, no, we're not going to allow that to happen because it challenges the Equality Act. What's happened then is that after Scotland saying, well, you know, no one would ever misuse these laws and literally days later, here's a double rapist going into a female. And then after that, it turns out there are more, like, sexual, aggressive biological men with intact males within the women's prison and being transferred. So it's shined a light on this, and now they've had to go, oh, OK, we're going to stop, we're going to have a look at everything now.
Well, first they did say they won't transfer someone with a history of sexual assault, biological male, into women's prison. And now they're saying, we're going to look at all of it. Because it was like, no, why don't you just look at all of them like they're doing, you know?
Yeah. Well, they've said that anyone currently, from now, convicted won't be transferred to a female prison. Yeah. That's basically just a moratorium until they get their house in order, isn't it? They are reviewing, but until they've reviewed, the rule is that they won't be put...
No new one, but there's...
Had this become a practicality thing? Has this become because male prisons are overwhelmed and women's prisons aren't? Is that why they're doing this?
No, I think they think it's a safeguarding thing where they want this part of this be kind, part of this ingratiate himself into these institutions. And this has been ongoing for years. But there was a horrible article that came out today with this woman, ex-prisoner, talking about what life is like on her block with these two trans women, intact males that she had to live in. Talking about how scared she was of being raped constantly. One of them was in there for murder. One of them was in there for domestic violence. She would see them naked, aroused in the showers. This is not... These are already neglected, in lots of cases, traumatised women. I know they're in jail, but they're there usually for a reason. And it's amazing that then people are then going to put male intact people, however they identify.
Well, I think some of these, the percentage I saw too is that trans people in prisons are between 14 and 19 times more likely to be raped than someone who isn't trans. So maybe they're trying to get them out of that situation.
Well, then they need to protect them within the male estate, rather than transferring them across to the female estate, where actually there's a higher proportion, there's about 10 to 11% of men, biological men, in prison are there for sex crimes. There's a higher proportion of the trans women are there for sex crimes. I think it's about 40% or something. So there's actually more chance.
Maybe a trans prison.
Or something, or just, they need protection, of course they do.
For the trans.
But putting them to women...
What you say about that maybe they should be kept safe, separate for their own safety, is actually what happened with this terrible story, and the one that's been in the news. He actually, the headlines always say he was put in female prison, but actually kept in isolation.
No, he wasn't in isolation, sorry. He was in the segregation unit. That's not isolation.
Oh, yeah?
He was in there with other women. Which is before they then go into the actual, get their permanent cell and stuff. So that he was in a space with other women.
And so something needs to be done while decisions are made. Their policy was, do it on a case-by-case basis. Do you disagree with that? Because hopefully the right decisions would be made. I mean, you agree the right decisions are made? She won't be going to a female prison?
Biological males should not be in women's prisons. That should be a thing. Now, as you say, there are cases of women, of trans women who are being abused in male prisons. That's for the male prisons to be sorted out, and how they put them there. To offload them onto women where it's not that trans people are risk to women, men are the risk to women.
So let's test the blanket rule that you try and put in place. If we think of the most likely to break that rule scenario, someone who's had all the surgery that you could possibly have and is in there for parking fines, would you still say, because they're cells and you would define them as a biological male, that they should then be in the male prison, whereas Scott says...
They should be safely in the male prison. And by the way, 95% of what we understand as trans women are fully intact males
No, but
who
that's why I
haven't
was
had
asking
any.
that
So
question
you're talking
specifically.
about the 1 or the
I was
1 to 5%.
trying to find
no,
an
no,
example
no,
that
no,
breaks the
but
rule.
I would say yes. There is a rule. Biological men should be in male prisons. But like you say, that's that example. But the reality is, 95% of trans women are intact males with their penises and who haven't had any surgery.
I suppose I was trying to argue against a blanket rule and more for case by case, because hopefully then
I think
you don't get the
well,
errors
that
of a
person
blanket
will
rule.
have greater strength, biological strength, and also biological men commit sex crimes at the same rate as... So 98% of rapes or whatever of sexual violence is caused by men, biological men. It doesn't matter if you're trans-identifying or not.
I'm sure we will return to this topic
Please.
in the next 3 minutes.